Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballogy. Manage and measure your players' skill development and increase accountability year-round utilizing the Ballogy app. Boost inter-squad competition with drills backed by the National High School Basketball Coaches Association, including a 40-shot Ballogy skills assessment. Please visit ballogy.com/teams for information on how you can provide this resource for your team. First question I'd love to know is, after 50 years of coaching with high school and college combined, what are some of those daily habits that have set you up for success?
Well, there are three things that I believe are the foundation for success in any walk of life: parent, spouse, CEO, educator, and coach. And that's trust, commitment, and care. It became the foundation upon which we built our program. Can you be trusted to do your best? Will you trust yourself? Do you trust your system? Do you trust the people that you work with? Are you committed to doing your best? And does that mean you have both feet in the door? And adversity strikes, do you run for the hills or do you stay on the mission? And then care about each other. And I think the critical part of care is showing that you care. We can always say, we care about them, but do you show that you care in the way you act? So those three words became the foundation upon which we structured our program in 1992. And as a footnote, in 1988, Lou Holtz had his first team meeting for that season and asked his players those three questions. And he said, if we answer these three questions in the affirmative, we'll be champions. And I never heard Lou Holtz mention that again, other than in the book about the 1988 national championship team at Notre Dame. And I just picked up on that and adopted that and adapted that to fit Davidson and Davidson basketball.
Man, I love those three things. And I think as coaches, so often we talk with our players about ways, or maybe we highlight ways that they don't show that they care. But in your opinion, what are some ways that players do show that they care?
Well, clearly by running to a teammate when the teammate gets knocked to the ground or takes a charge or makes a great play and gets fouled in the process, patting them on the back or giving them five when they go to the foul line, greeting them when they come off the court, and being a player that comes off the court and greets his teammates instead of maybe showing the fans, I'm not real happy about coming out. Simple things like that happen during the course of the game. But then, of course, it's a habit. So the way you clean up in front of your own locker in the locker room, the way you handle yourself on campus, the way you attend class, the way you listen in practice, the timing of when you get to practice. How do you leave your hotel room when we're on a road trip? What is your attitude about going out with the coaches for a meal? Do you say thank you? So there are so many ways that you can show that care in the 24-hour interaction. And when you do it, it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes instinctive and not something that is either ingenuine and preconceived or something that you have to think about. It just happens.
Yeah, and I would imagine a great way for us to help our players build those habits is catching them when they do those things correctly and highlighting them for that, instead of just, like I had said before, commenting on the lack of care. Man, let's celebrate and make a big deal and highlight, maybe when film or in team meetings, when we see this high level of care from our guys.
There's a very unique bridge that you must take in order to make it seem genuine. You can't be overzealous with your comments and your applause and your pats
Mm.
on the back, because then it becomes, too common, and it can't become too common. It's got to be a clear, instinctive process by the coach when a player does something. And it's interesting how you evolve and you learn from your previous years of experience. So I'll give you a classic example, and it's in reference to our two boys, Matt and Brendan, who both played for us. They wore Davidson on their heart. They were as tough as nails. They were great in the locker room. Their work ethic was insatiable. They were good players, almost 1,000-point scorers, both of them, starters, both of them. And I constantly told them how much I appreciated them and how much their value to the team was such a pivotal part of our program. But I never did that in front of the team. And therefore, because I never did it in front of the team, it maybe didn't carry as much weight. And why didn't I do it in front of the team? Well, I think that's the first part of the foundation, trust. I didn't trust myself that saying something like that would be received by the players, the teammates, because, oh, he's just saying that because he's the father and they're his sons. I needed to trust, and because I didn't trust myself and trust my leadership, I only said it to them privately. And in Matt's senior year, I did say it publicly, and all of a sudden it uplifted him like I had never seen him uplifted before. And I think that's a very, and I, in fact, just had a text message exchange with Leon Rice, the coach of Boise State, who coaches his son, Max, and his other son, I think his name is Sam. And I just reminded him about my experience, and he was incredibly grateful about that.
Coach, I'm incredibly thankful. It's amazing how after doing these talks for 2.5 years, there always seems to be something that I feel like I needed to hear in the conversation. And I'm coaching my son right now. He's a junior at Grapevine Faith Christian School, where I'm at down in Texas. And I've constantly in a battle with myself of, am I giving him enough to where he feels loved and cared for and supported like I want all the guys to, but am I not going so far to where there's this feeling of, golly, here we go again. It's all about his son and everything we're doing. I think I err on your side of it, which is I may be a little too hard. I may hold back more than I should.
But that's where the trust
balance
factor comes in. And those three words, trust, commitment, and care, cannot operate independently. They're all tied together. And you can look to the Bible in Micah 6, love tenderly, act justly, and walk humbly with your God. And I think you could really pigeonhole those three words into that biblical verse.
Yeah.
And those biblical words can't operate independently either. They need to work in conjunction with each other. And that, to me, is the hardest thing about coaching and being a Christian and living your life the way you're supposed to live your life, is that there has to be that sense of intimacy between those three virtues, those three values. And one can't operate all by itself.
Because the others will fall short. Your players will see that. They'll see right through that, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.